Yo ho ho, it's time for the Bodie Show. Living on the water is the only life I know. Yo ho 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 ho, it's time for the Bodie Show.
What do you think of that?
Gee, Nash.
What just happened?
That's the demo of the new intro to the Bodie Show.
Oh,
Amazing.
God, that blew my mind.
I kept it as a surprise.
You sure did, motherfucker.
That's great, isn't it? I'm so happy with that. Jay's having a good time. I talked to him a couple times, and we have been going back and forth on some ideas for how to tune it up, and it's gonna get better. And every time we have a new version, we'll play it. Cool.
I'm so into it. I love it so much.
Yeah, and just because we're gonna start rolling with the conversation in a bit, and so before then, I wanted to make sure we did the one ad we have from our sponsor, our new sponsor. But I'll do a little intro music for the ad, and then we'll read it. Then we'll read it. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So much drama in the LBC, it's kinda hard being Snoop D-O-double-G. But I somehow, someway keep coming up with funky ass shit like every single day. Maybe kick a little something for the G's and make a few ends as I breeze through 2 in the morning and the party's still jumping cause my mama ain't home. I got her bitches in the living room just getting it on. They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. So what you wanna do? I got a pocket full of rubbers and my homeboys do too.
Stephanie, tell us what that was.
That was one of the most amazing people in the whole world, Garrison Starr, singing her version of Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre's Gin and Juice. It's the best song ever created, and nobody should ever listen to anything else. Ever.
No, ever. So, and with that song, we will introduce our new sponsor. And Stephanie, are you going to read the ad, or should I?
It brings me great joy to announce that this episode of The Bodie Show is brought to you by Gin and Juice, the long-awaited and much-anticipated party-starting canned beverage by Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. This summer, with your mind on your boat and your boat on your mind, get laid back. Just like Dr. Dre and Snoop, take it in the can with your buddies sipping on gin and juice. Whether it's passion fruit, melon, citrus, or apricot, you can't go wrong rolling down the river with the DOG biatch.
Nicely done.
There it is.
Nicely done. Nicely done. That's great ad copy from our Senior Vice President of Fake Advertising, Andy Bowen.
But in all seriousness, I do want to just pause for a moment to acknowledge the fact that this is how we know it's going to be the best summer ever, is because there's now gin and juice in a can. So
Yeah.
we are very excited.
Let's discuss the only question that remains about canned gin and juice.
Whether or not it has bubbles, you mean?
Sparkly or not.
Yeah, I know. I'm really hoping for flat.
Flat gin and juice.
It's not bubbly. Nobody wants bubbly juice.
She has a strong opinion about this.
I do have a strong opinion about it.
We discussed it at some length last night.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So
Okay.
let's talk about where we are.
That's a good start where we are.
Where are you?
You go.
I'll go. I'm in Philadelphia again. It is looking a little like spring here. I was out on the water most of the week, which was great. Coaching, lots of boating with that. Rainstorm and windstorm yesterday. I took my kids all the way down the river to the dam and back, and some of them weren't expecting that, and they got really cold and wet, and then in the end felt proud of themselves, which is nobody cried. Nobody cried.
To the dam and back.
Yeah. So on the section of the Schuylkill River that I coach rowing on, there is a big dam that was built originally to feed the Manayunk Canal, which transported like ore and junk up and down the Schuylkill River. Now it's just a dam that's just there and has a fish ladder on it.
Like that's also that's a nice boaty measure. Like if we don't know where we're going and somebody asks us, we could just always say to the dam and back.
To the dam and back. I agree. Yeah. And the kid, like that's about as far as you can go. Well, you're not going to go past the dam clearly when you're rowing. So That's like the furthest you can go. So the dam and back is like a typical furthest you can go distance. And
I like it a lot. I'm going to use it in my daily life.
all right. So that's where I am. I didn't do anything else boaty this week. Besides, that's a lot. I was a lot of boaty stuff. I was in two different kinds of boats. I was in a wakeless launch, which we discussed last week, catamaran hull, long and skinny hulls, and then I was in a regular old tin boat with those, just like throwing a big wake, which I like. Actually, I like driving those better. They're more maneuverable, and I can whip around and do my thing. Yeah,
That's a lot. It's already a lot.
Okay. Where are you, Stephanie?
I'm in Burlington, Vermont.
Oh.
I'm here in Burlington, Vermont with my two good friends, Jen and Jen. Jen Fitch is on my left, and Jen Hohen is on my right. And they're both from Round Island, and they're here to avenge the unfair and unnecessary hazing.
Disparagement.
Burlington, and it's snowing, so it's becoming less boaty here.
Burlington is a surprisingly boaty place. You wouldn't think of Vermont being like landlocked Vermont being boaty.
Well,
Jen O'Neill, why?
There was that hot minute when they tried to make Lake Champlain a Great Lake.
Oh yeah,
which was very offensive to me because I grew up on Lake Ontario, and I think Lake Champlain's a pretty good lake, but it's not a great lake.
No.
Those bastards! What were they doing?
I don't know. I don't get it. I think it was a tourism thing, a funding thing. I don't know.
Big for the
Then
pictures,
it got, it got kind of taken away from them. So there really still are only 5 Great Lakes.
And one pretty good lake.
One pretty good lake.
pretty good.
It's actually a really nice lake.
It's a very nice lake.
I like that
It's a
lake
very nice lake.
a lot better than this other lakes.
Yeah, it's a very
More
nice
to
lake.
explore up there.
But it is very boaty here.
It is. I had my first experience with Lake Champlain this past June of 23. I boated the length of it with my son Walker, and we discovered that Burlington, the city, has a beautiful harbor with like a great break wall and docks and multiple marinas. There's a municipal pier with a restaurant on it, and then like it sort of flows into a big skate park right next to it. That's made out of an old the skeleton of an old power plant or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I also took a boat here.
What?
Burlington.
You got on the water?
I did.
We were both on ferries this week, actually. You took a car ferry, and I was in New York City at the beginning of the week, and I took a people ferry.
I love ferries. They're the best.
Best. Yeah.
I had never been on that ferry before, and I didn't know I was going to be on it because Google Maps. And so I just drove onto it, and then I was on it, and it was great. I got to go across Lake Champlain. It was delightful.
Was that because like Route 12 or whatever looks like it goes to the lake and crosses the lake?
Realize you were going to
Didn't know
do that.
I didn't know.
That's so cool, though. You took a boat ride in your car and you hadn't even expected to.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, this is where it took me.
I think
Great.
we're gonna put a pin in the ferry being the most definitive intersection of cars and boats, which is a topic that we're going to address over time on the Boaty Show. Cars and boats and how they intersect, but not necessarily today. Okay, there's a lot of things we're not going to talk about today, it seems.
Not going to talk about it. Good to know.
Yeah, Jen O'Neill, what ferry were you on in New York City?
They have this incredible it's new to me anyway, but there's a whole pedestrian ferry system. There's probably 6 or 8 routes. And I took it from Bay Ridge, Brooklyn to the Lower East Side of Manhattan to meet my little cousin Caitlin for bottomless brunch in the East Village. It was really awesome.
Oh, get the hell out. So you went up to East River from where you...
Yeah, Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. It took an hour. It was impressive. There's a lot of stops along the way. We stopped at like Dumbo and Williamsburg and Wall Street, like ping-ponging back and forth across the East River. It was really interesting.
Bro, that is cool.
I know. It was really cool. And you can transfer to get on other lines too, just like a subway or a bus or something like that.
Oh, multimodal, including boats.
Yeah. It was awesome. Really impressive.
New York City's really, really coming up in the world. I mean...
Well, really improving their water access and water transportation there quite a bit. Because when I lived there a long time ago, there was like one ferry from Hoboken, and then of course Staten Island Ferry. But now it seems like there's just really extensive ferry system.
So much development and investment into waterfront access there. Most of Lower Manhattan's like ringed by paths and stuff. Yeah.
Really cool.
That's awesome. All right. Jen Fitch, any boats this week?
Well, actually, I did have some really great boating experiences for like the solid 45 minutes to an hour. I hung out with that dude, Jason, at West Marine.
Oh, yeah. Tell that story.
Yeah.
Can I tell that story?
Yeah, I'd like to hear your interpretation of this story.
Well, just briefly, this is the thing I'd like to say, which I feel like this is
I will add commentary.
This is just a genius moment where you had time to kill and you got off the highway and you were like, oh, there's a West Marine. I'll just go there to kill some time, which was just such a genius move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
like
she hung out with some guy named Jason and he may or may not have fallen in love with you and then you had to run away.
There was a moment where I was like, okay, conversation's over. Good luck. Peace out.
He definitely fell in love with you. If that's how you exited his life, he's like, now you are the one that got away.
Yeah. Yeah, fascinating guy, actually.
But it is a good idea, right? Yeah. It's a good idea. Like, if you've got time to kill and you're like, oh, there's a West Marine, I'll just go there. It never occurred to me until she said that.
Yeah, because you probably need something. There's probably something there you don't know that you need yet.
No, seriously, you should go there. Or Jen, wrong person.
It's a great idea.
Really interesting person and a lot of knowledge. And
Jason, if you're listening, she got away. Yeah.
Friends.
This is your Bodie show Lost Connection. Remember that on Craigslist, Lost Connections?
Yes. Yes. I saw you. You were wearing green. You were on the subway.
Yeah.
Our little paper here in Burlington, 7 Days, prints those.
Still does it.
Still in the paper.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty excellent.
You got to monitor all. How close to Burlington was this, Jen Fitch?
Oh, it's like you get off the highway and I stopped at the light. I was supposed to go skiing, snowboarding, sorry. And then I got delayed for a myriad of reasons.
It's right in Burlington.
Yeah, pulled off. There it was. All right, let's go hang out there for a little bit.
Monitor all of the Lost Connection media for Jason, calling out for Jen Fitch into the void and hoping that you answer.
This guy, Jason.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I was just hoping to get the employee discount. That's why I hung out there so long. And I didn't.
Oh.
I think I could have tried harder, but I eventually realized I got to get out of here. It's just the two of us in the store, and nobody knows where I am. I could go missing.
And like the discount was only like 5%, and you weren't gonna work that hard for 5%.
Of good information that I did pick up, because there are a number of things I was sort of thinking about, like for the summer, for our place. He's like, don't buy it now. Go online. Everything's on sale because they're bringing in all West Marine line like products, and they're doing away with legitimate other brands.
White labeling.
So he's like, don't buy any of those vendors. Just go online. They're like off.
Did you look for mermaid bumpers while you were there?
I did.
Yeah, girl.
Yeah, but we did talk. I mean, I knew they weren't going to be there. We talked about it for a little while, actually.
That's awesome. So that's a good heads up to our listeners. West Marine is exiting the selling other people's brands and entering selling more of their own brand.
That was my takeaway.
Yeah.
And Jen and Hohen knows what that's called. Apparently that's called white labeling.
White labeling.
Yeah.
I just learned something.
I wanted to segue with the mermaid bumper. So after episode 1, I saw a beautiful picture, Jen Fitch, that you took of your sister and a mermaid bumper on a dock. Will you tell us more about that?
This is a long freaking time ago. I took that picture. I don't know. Sort of just those moments when we were... Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it's such a compelling image, and we should post it, I guess, in your...
I thought you guys would use it as like a poster or something.
I think, I don't know.
I intentionally did
put
it that
words
way.
in your mouth, but it looks to me like she's really, examining.
That's exactly what I was doing.
And what that means, and this point in her life when she's wondering if this is an image of what a woman looks like.
Yeah.
It's a little...
That's exactly it. That was great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, cool. Well, would you be okay if we posted that? We'll do it.
I'd said as much. I'm like, please post it. Yeah, use it.
Okay, cool.
Lovely.
Go for it. I like that. I probably shot 2 rolls of that just to get her to look into the eyes of that pretty little mermaid just right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And Jen, are you online anywhere with your photography?
I am.
Where?
This is fun.
Plug it.
Blake, you want me to tell you? You guys want to? I'll just send it to you.
Okay. Yeah, we'll post it with the socials.
We'll post it.
We'll also plug Jen Hohen O'Neill.
Oh, you don't have to plug me.
We'll plug you later when we get to Rad Boats of Europe, which is going to be great. Just talking about that. Okay, moving on. We, of course, need to do a floaty show, a show within a show, where we give an update on the continuing saga of floata.ca, float-ea.ca, Float A, our friends who we have front-loaded affection for. That's a nice euphemism for stalking that Stephanie came up with, front-loaded affection. And I want to just update the crew here and our listeners, because you may be interested. We are now a certified vendor of Float A products and have placed an order with Float A world headquarters near Toronto. And we ordered some loons, some moose, Adirondack chairs, the denim tuxedo, denim patterned tube, and a bunch of water saddles and some campfire coolers. Unfortunately, the Beaver was on back order.
Say, why not? Just
sit with it. The Beaver's on back order. Just say it. Say it out loud.
It's incredible. That's a tragic thought. I try not to think about it.
I know, but it's also a beautiful sentence.
It is, yeah. So
the Beaver's on back order.
The Beaver's on back order.
All right.
I mean, I've really run with all this for a while, but
this is a family boaty show. So all of the things that I thought of just now, I am not saying out loud. But we're pretty fired up. So we're gonna get an order in, and we're gonna figure out how to retail these in and around the Thousand Islands, perhaps in and around the Philly, Jersey Shore area too.
Question.
Yes.
Yeah, so this would be a good summer job for me since I'm a teacher. I mean, I think I could do something for real with this. I will help you out.
Okay, cool.
I also want to just quickly add, when I first heard this, I thought you guys were joking.
I know.
And I just looked it up yesterday, and I didn't realize it was...
We never joke. Not about floaties.
We never joke about floaties.
No.
It's impressive.
Pretty fired up, though. And I think we might do some sort of pre-order thing for our listeners where there's a special deal, which might just mean you get to order them from us. And ahead of the season, because we think these things are going to go like hotcakes. And Stephanie, would you talk about your theory? Actually, it's just the reality that every summer there's like the hot thing.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think that's true, right? Like all of a sudden everyone's got the blah, blah floaty thing. It's different from last year's floaty thing, right? Yeah. So just thinking, I'm hoping that that's us this year, right? But everyone's got to have the floaty campfire cooler. I know I do. Speaking for myself, I need to have it.
We're going to...
What?
Didn't you say that they last longer?
That's an element of this brand, is that they are made to last more than one season. Yeah. They made a tougher floaty toy.
Phthalate free.
God, my phthalate free.
Phthalate free.
What? Oh, phthalate free. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
So that's good. Could we make the promo code Beavers on back order, and our listeners have to? Can they have to use that in order to get?
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
If anybody's going to order from us when we do our preseason sale of floaties from Float A, Beaver on back order is the promo code. Yeah. And if you use it, then you'll get to order a floaty. If you don't,
no floaty for you.
Yeah. Tell you what. If you use the Beaver on back order promo code, you'll get a Boaty Show sticker.
Do we have stickers?
We almost do. They're in a shopping cart on the sticker website.
Yeah. Wow. Impressive.
Yeah, our first swag.
Wow, great job.
Yeah. Okay. We gotta talk about some boats. That's a lot about floaties, and that's great. So that's a wrap on the floaty show, a show within a show. Love the applause button. All right, I have a topic that I want to discuss, and I haven't prepped Steph for this. Let's talk Chris Craft Lancer.
Okay.
So do you want me to just say words?
Words.
Well, the Chris Craft Lancer, I was just explaining this to somebody recently, because I was talking about the fact that you did a rehab on one, and it's just a hot boat. You just see it and you're just like, right, nice lines. It looks nice and solid. It's a Chris Craft, but it's also fiberglass. It's not like pain in the necky, woody wood stuff, whatever. It's it just has a nice, solid, pretty hot vibe.
Yeah. So just so listeners understand, if they haven't seen it, well, I'll post some pictures of Lancers on the socials with this. It's kind of like I'm trying to think of like a car equivalent for the Lancer. So it's a 70s era. You know, the first ones might have been made in the late 60s. But they were definitely fiberglass. And Chris Craft went through this period of time where they tried to make fiberglass boats that looked like they're wooden boats, and it really didn't. It really didn't.
Everyone did that at first.
Yeah, it really didn't work, I didn't think. And then they were like, all right, let's actually just go with what's new. And they made the Lancer. It's this clean looking, like really, it's not like there's no jet engine intakes and no like fins and stuff. I think it's
sleek. Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth, Jeff. As clean is like the best way to describe lines on that. Those, oh God, they're incredible.
Yeah. And I happen to believe that they are an underappreciated 70s boat for present day enjoyment. Having restored one, I found that they were built really well, like really good fiberglass layup, really, really solid encapsulation of the stringers. For anybody that's into the sort of underpinnings of older boats, they've got like solid bones, thick hull, good deck, like deck to hull bond is good.
Are we still talking about boats? Yeah, I'm confused.
My tone may drift as I talk about boats.
Wow,
I'm like,
she sounds good.
Were the stringers sound on the yellow one that you worked on?
Yeah.
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 Awesome.
And that thing was hammered. That thing had been it had been turned into a pickup truck. I'm still talking about boats. That thing had been turned into a pickup truck, and it was just down and dirty, but like it really got the job done. Right now I may be embellishing a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. It had been repowered.
Keep going.
Yeah, keep it up.
I will say that the other thing I love about the Lancer is its ride. It has a deep V hull.
A heavy boat. It's a heavy boat, right? Which in a good way.
When I first put it in the water and took it out, it was not nearly as heavy as I thought it was going to be, based on how well it was built. And this was a 23, it was a 77-23.
This one?
It looks similar to that. Yeah. The boat I restored, it got named the Mellow Yellow by the new owners, our friends, the Herbergers and John and Caroline, and they actually went with the old school 70s Mellow Yellow font for the transom, for the name on the transom, and it looks real good. But
I like it.
Great riding boat, and it got up and went without any fuss. It didn't there wasn't a lot of, like, the bow didn't shoot up in the air. Like when you're driving boats, motorboats in particular, sometimes you push the throttle down. There's the throttle's a lever. You shove that forward and then you get going. And when a boat gets up on plane, it climbs up to skim on top of the water. That's getting on plane. Sometimes the bow goes way up in the air as it's sort of climbing onto top of the water to skim on top of the water. This didn't do that. It just kind of lifted up real nice, which I like, especially for a deep V hull. And it just cut through all kinds of stuff and has a big open layout. I think it's a great candidate for modern seating.
Yeah, I was thinking that, it'd be amazing, like an amazing custom job for a Lancer is to then put in new seating similar to like a Donzi Sweet 16. You know how it's got the wraparound, that awesome seating, and then the one chair, the driver chair, seat. But that would be an amazing upgrade.
That's it. That's what we're going to do to the next Lancer.
Yeah.
Did you it's an IO still, right? You didn't add an outboard to that, did you?
No, it had been repowered in the 90s. So an IO is an inboard outboard motor, and that means there's basically a car engine inside the boat, just in front of the stern, the back of the boat, and that connects to a something called a leg or an outdrive. It's the thing that's got the prop on it, the propeller on it, and that's on the outside of the boat. And so you get, kind of cheap horsepower with the marinized sort of boatified car engine on the inside, and then all the more expensive bits, because they're special for boats, are on the outside. And I like IOs after having driven the Mellow Yellow a bunch. This was a duo prop, which means it had two propellers on it. And that's also part of why I got up and went. Like, you spin two propellers instead of one, and you got a bunch more. You got a bunch more thrust, a bunch more stern thrust.
Why'd you get rid of it?
Fixed it up.
Great question, actually.
Yeah, fixed it up. Decided, let's drive it, see if we like it. I liked it. I liked it a lot. But I wasn't
like that's maybe or like.
I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to have that boat.
Right.
What's that?
I think the intention from the beginning
process
was to kind of fix it up and sell it. Right. That was the project. That was the intention from the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I don't need another boat, but this thing has good bones, and I got a good deal on it, and had a good motor, and so I started polishing one side of it just to see what it would look like, and it came. The yellow came back really well. I'll do it before and after on social. And yeah, so it was like, I'm going to fix it up and sell it. But then when we put it in the water and drove it around for like a few weeks, it was like, oh man, maybe we should keep this.
That's the part I remember. Going for a ride with you, and I mean, I think it's always a good question. It's like, and it's a bigger philosophical question, right? Like, why'd you get rid of that boat? Is a question that we could be asking in many scenarios. But in this one, you did like that boat, but you did still hold true to the concept, and you did sell it, and that was good too.
Yeah. It was good. I sold it to some people who absolutely adore it, and kind of got to see it go and be happy. It wasn't like at the time it wasn't going to necessarily fit with how we were boating.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say, because like you kind of still, it was like kind of more in the prime Helen time of boating, and the Mellow Yellow didn't quite hold as many people as Helen could.
I actually pitched my family on getting rid of the Helen, which is a 1972 Penn Yan Avenger hardtop, tunnel drive hardtop. And so it's, if you're not familiar with Penn Yans, it's an old school boat brand from the freshwater area of upstate New York. And this boat is kind of like the 1974 like wood paneled estate wagon that you'd load all the kids into and drive to Florida in. And that's how we've always used it. But Penn Yan's they made like wooden boats back in the 50s, and then all kinds of crazy fiberglass boats into the 90s, I think. Helen's from 72. Anyway, I think I pitched my family, hey, because they were saying, hey, let's keep this Mellow Yellow is awesome. I'm like, listen, we already have one big motorboat. I'd love to get rid of the Helen and keep the Mellow Yellow. And they said, no, you can't get rid of the Helen.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was a lot of support even outside your family of not getting rid of the Helen. So
there's a long saga of why Helen is not in the water. But I think once I start working on the Grace, to get the 60 slick craft that Stephanie and I are partners on, that project preps me to then do the Helen restoration. Got all these projects stacked up. That's how it goes.
You get all this time.
I don't have this time. That's the thing. Yeah.
He's doing a podcast.
All right, so let's move on from Chris Craft Lancers. I think they're underappreciated. Encourage everybody to go take a look at them. We'll post some pictures, and I'd like to move on to almost a related topic, Stephanie, from our listener Brian Danforth. He sent us a sort of like a blurb here. So pre-1995 boats versus modern brands. Some examples: Mako was acquired in 1996 by Tracker Marine, owned by Bass Pro Shops. Whaler was acquired in 1996 by Brunswick, who also owned Crestliner, Baitliner, Sea Ray, Maxim, Meridian, Lowe, and Lund. They're a big aggregator. And that today's Whaler from Boston whaler, and Mako from Mako versus the original classic. Very different. Which would you own? And I think I know the answer to this because of who I'm talking to. But
You mean my answer?
well, just everybody's. Yours.
We like the originals.
Yeah.
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 I mean, I haven't looked into the Mako situation very much, but I see a lot of the whalers, and you know how I am about this stuff. Like I just think about looks a lot, right?
So Boston
I
Boston whalers, everybody, it was like one of the first popular all-rounder fiberglass like throwdown boat. Like you go and you do, and a lot of kids ended up driving whalers as their first boats because Whaler made a 13. They made a 9 also, but they made a 13. This little skiff, and they were unsinkable. So I think parents in the 80s were like, "Oh, it's unsinkable. Here, take the keys."
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's what we did.
we all grew up.
Many
Yeah.
memories of us doing that.
I think an interesting thing to think about with this question is that, for me and people our age, I think that, we did grow up with so many of us driving whalers and Makos growing up. And so for me, the old ones represent this, like those house salon days of just like
Nostalgia.
summer and nostalgia, and you know what I mean? So, and then, like, to be fair, like I can't actually speak to driving a 2023 whaler. I have no idea. I mean, they might be amazing. You know what I mean? But my mind won't actually accept that they're awesome. They might be, but I'm just used to like the look and the nostalgia of a 94 center console Montauk, because that's what the cute guys drove. And
Yeah,
so,
and
there's
you're so nostalgic about the spine compression.
yeah, exactly.
And
I mean,
needing to get your teeth capped because you've chipped them from bouncing off of waves.
right, this hunched over dowager look I have
I think
now.
I think it explains a lot for us.
Dowager, halcyon and dowager, 2 words, 2 good words today. Thank you, Jen.
It's a great question. I think that the function side, I also cannot speak to, but I do love I love the look of an old whaler. I don't drive them anymore, but I did have that one. Remember the baby lamb?
Oh my God, that was the whaler to end all whalers.
That was some hot shit
Really
right there.
hot shit.
What was it? Tell us. Tell our
Well,
listeners.
The 17-foot blue interior, 68 maybe, and it had a cabin on the front. So it's a 19-foot boat, just to be clear.
17 foot.
17-foot boat with a cabin. So it was like a little cabin, but like just enough to get out of nap jail, which is how we used it, right? So
Yeah.
parents of young children, you want to go out on the boat. You don't want to come home every time the kid needs to nap. So this thing had 2 tiny little shelfy bunky things up in the cabin. And it also had like gull wings. The cabin opened from the front and it had portholes. So
All of the words you just said, people are like, "Oh my God, what is this?" And they're not going to understand until they see a picture. So this was a 68 Boston whaler Menemsha.
it's a Menemsha.
Yep.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yep.
I know they didn't make a lot of them. For some reason, it didn't seem to have a broad appeal, but it appealed to me.
I can't even envision.
It was a very unique look.
It worked out
I mean-
great too.
I mean-
I put those freaking kids in that boat, and we went wherever we went, and they fell asleep whenever they fell asleep. And I don't regret a thing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Didn't,
see that?
didn't Aaron have one of these?
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
So
want to
anyway.
say nap jail is a ubiquitous thing that current parents of young children are experiencing as well. When like, your day is constrained because your kids have to take naps and you can't go and do things. You can't go and have fun or even go and not have fun. You just have to be there when there are naps going on.
Yeah, and it's so true. And I remember that was also me. That boat was about me trying to get myself and my very young children back and forth to an island by myself. Remember that?
Yep.
Trying to figure out how to do that, and this has morphed into a whole. We don't need to get into this, but eventually it morphed into Anna Larson's laundry baskets full of babies, which is an amazing iteration. But at that point, I was just trying to get how do I get myself safely with a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old on and off an island? How do you do it?
Yeah, in less than in 17 feet or less, because that was another thing. You didn't want to have some big ass boat.
Right. Or else you won't be able to dock it by yourself because the 2-year-old turns out is not helpful at docking.
No.
Who knew?
I'm gonna move us on. So I think this pre-95 thing is interesting as a topic to keep revisiting and maybe explore with our listeners. When I do a search on Craigslist for, interesting boats, 1995 is my cutoff date. And that could be because I'm 50 and everything before 1995 was fun and everything after 1995 was not fun.
That's depressing.
Right. So, yeah. That's Halcyon. Yeah.
Yep.
But we'll move on from that, and everybody think about this 95 thing, because like in the car world there are these cutoffs also. Pre 1976 in California is you can have a car from before 1976 because you don't have to follow smog rules, so you can do like fun things with your engine and stuff. That's just like an analog there. So I'm gonna do a quick intro. We have a Younger Demographic Liaison segment this week with a 15-year-old, Luke Wilmerding, who is the nephew of my very best friend, Jeremy. And he sort of all on his own dove into this boaty thing, and you'll hear more about that on this interview with him. Here I am with Luke Wilmerding, my best friend's nephew, and my very good friend's, I'm sorry, Reed. Jeremy's best, you're very good. My very good friend Reed's son, and we're going to talk a little bit about somebody taking an early interest in fixing up boats.
Yeah, so my boat is a 12-foot long Cadillac from the 60s, 50s.
Sorry, Cadillac. What's it made out of?
It's aluminum. It's a little bit corroded, but I've put a wire wheel on it and painted it up. So, yeah, it was I found it 2 years ago in a barn, flipped over. Nobody's touched it in probably 20, 30 years.
What was it covered in?
It was covered in some tree branches and like a bush. So yeah, it's pretty old.
No rat poop or anything like that?
There was a little bit of that.
Okay, there always is in barns.
Yeah, for good measure.
Yeah.
But other than that, I just kind of flipped it over and just put it in the water, and there was no leak. So yeah.
So it was worth doing something with.
Yeah, it was.
And so you wire wheeled it, cleaned it all up. Did you do anything with the interior? Was there wood? Was there floors?
It was pretty much gutted except for the 3 bench seats that were welded into it. But other than that, I painted the inside with spray paint after I cleaned it up, and then I put EVA foam decking, which is kind of like a giant like sticker that you just stick onto the seats and floor.
Pro Deck Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's a bunch of brand names for that stuff.
And it's textured, so that makes it a lot nicer to walk on and kind of just fish off of and do stuff. So
cool. And how old are you?
I'm 15.
So when did you do this?
I did this when I was 13.
Nice. Who helped you flip it over?
It was me and my brother. We just tied it to our gator and just pulled it until it flipped over.
That's how old's your brother? Or how old was he at the time?
He was probably 7 or 8.
So this was a good time for him.
Yeah. He got some work in.
What? And so this is in a barn. Like, you've got some history with this boat, right?
Yeah, so it was, it's kind of a mystery boat. It's never been registered, so we assume
all the best boats haven't been registered.
Yeah, so we assume that it's been used as a hunting boat, either in our pond or in like the near vicinity of our duck blinds and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of a bit of a mystery. My grandpa he didn't really even know that we had it, but yeah, it's kind of been a mystery, but we assume that my great-grandpa used it at one point, or hunters that were previously hunting there have used it.
Got it. And so, your great-grandfather bought the farm in the 50s?
Yes, he did.
And so you think that this boat it's from the 50s, so maybe your great-grandfather got that first boat on the farm.
Yeah.
Been in the barn.
Yeah, he bought the farm with the intentions to run a dairy operation, and also he had a large interest in waterfowl hunting, so it kind of can connect the dots there with that.
Yeah, cool. But like your dad, your mom doesn't have any memories of your dad like rowing her around the pond or anything.
No, not that I've heard of.
Maybe he does, but he's not telling you the story.
Yeah,
and you should ask. Mm-hmm. And so Peter and Susie, you should be more forthcoming with Luke on this one, because I bet there's some stories about that boat.
Mm-hmm.
That Luke doesn't want to know. I can tell. I'm sorry. This is what I do. I make things slightly uncomfortable. All right, that's a really cool story. And you think you might do another boat?
Yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing. Hopefully this summer. Because I unfortunately got kicked off of Facebook Marketplace.
What?
Yeah, I was banned a couple months ago.
You must have been doing something horrible.
No, apparently a lot of users across the nation were kicked off. And so that's been a bit of a tragedy, but
I could imagine. We have discussed your interest in, prospecting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'd call it prospecting.
Right. So do you know why you got kicked off?
No, I haven't purchased anything off of the Facebook, gone through on any deals. I've just pretty much just been looking at stuff.
Yeah, I would think they'd be excited about that. Maybe your dad bought something sketchy and on your account, and that's why it happened.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. That's possible, but he can't prove that he didn't. And that's what we should focus on.
Mm-hmm.
So, before you got kicked off Facebook Marketplace, you were looking for what are you interested in terms of design era?
I was looking at, so there's a company that's no longer, here. It's called HydroStream. And I was kind of interested in doing a HydroStream. It's called a V-King. Where it's kind of like a 60s era, outboard, got a big Mercury on the back.
That's right. We talked about, you like the Tower of Power thing, right? I don't know a lot about those motors. What's the deal with those?
All I know so far is that they sound really cool and that you can tune them to go really fast.
Got it. And just for anybody who's not familiar, there was an era of Mercury outboard building where they got really tall and skinny. Maybe they were straight blocks or something.
Yep. And
the tall, skinny motor on the back of a kind of a pointy 60s, 70s speedboat was a thing. Late 60s, early 70s. Am I right on that?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of my recollection. I think that a HydroStream was the boat of the week on the Bodie Show in episode 1.
Really?
Yeah, I'm looking for pictures right now. There was a submission from my brother-in-law for boat of the week, which is a thing on the Bodie Show where we try and find cool boats, send them in, and here it is. Almost there. I'll probably edit. Yep. No. Hydrodyne. Hydrodyne Hotshot. Check this out. It's got a hood scoop
That's nice with the inboard.
Yeah, an IO. You can see it says that they were breaking the IO price barrier, and it has a jet intake.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty high tech.
Yeah. Well, that's the cool thing about fiberglass. You can make it shapely like that.
Yeah.
Well, you should submit a candidate for Boat of the Week. I find Craigslist to be, for me, a better place to go prospecting for boats.
Really?
Yeah. Because Craigslist, the website's gotten a lot better. You can search for in Philly or Eastern Shore, and it'll broaden the search out pretty far. If I do a Philly search, it'll I'll get hits in Connecticut, that kind of thing. So, and I know that you are invested in acquiring a tow vehicle, so you shouldn't be afraid to look far and wide.
Hopefully I acquire the tow vehicle soon, and then from there I'll start looking for a boat and a trailer. If
you ever need trailers, I know a guy. I am the guy. So I have some.
Really?
I have some trailers.
I've heard.
We don't need to talk about that anymore. Well, Luke, thanks so much for sharing your story. A 1950s Cadillac that you... Oh, wait, no, we didn't even talk about the motor.
Oh.
Yeah, talk about powertrain.
So, it is a 1962 Johnson 6-horse. It was previously used in my grandparents' house in the Poconos for a lake. And then from there, after a couple years, after I think like 20 or 30 years of using it there, they brought that down to our farm where it just sat in a barn on the ground. And they switched to a 4-stroke Yamaha. So I found it kind of at the same time as the boat. We knew that it was there. We just didn't know what shape it was in and when it was last used.
Yeah.
But it is it's a short shaft. And it also, and then we found it and it was in really rough shape. Like the fuel lines were all shot. Fuel pump had to get replaced. And we took it into shop and they had to do some pretty extensive work on it. But after that fact, it runs like it's the most reliable motor I've ran. But I'll let it sit in the barn for 3 months and it'll start on the third pull.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So what's it like driving that little boat with that motor?
Because of how light it is, I've hit like 27 miles an hour with just me in it, and a half tank of fuel. So that, just based off that, I'm satisfied with the speed that I'm able to hit.
Oh yeah. You figure for what you have invested in it and what it is and how simple it is, that's a very high speed to like low maintenance, not a big deal boat ratio.
Mm-hmm. And especially the fact that it's a 2-stroke is helpful because it's significantly lighter than a newer 4-stroke like Mercury or one of those. And it's also, to some extent, it's a collector's kind of model. So it kind of holds its value even with like higher hours on it. Yeah. Which is nice. So.
Mm-hmm. And it's all fresh water.
Yeah.
Wasn't abused. Well,
it's a pretty hardy motor. It's gone through some stuff
That's cool.
with no issues. So we haven't had to do any maintenance on it yet, except for there's kind of a mystery. We took the lower unit off because the impeller wasn't pumping water out,
mm-hmm.
and there were leaves in the lower unit in the next to the drive shaft and shifting linkage.
Huh.
So we have no idea how leaves came to enter into there, but we took them out and we haven't had any issues with that since.
It might have been your brother.
Yeah. I heard he knows how to take the lower unit off.
It's always good if things roll downhill toward younger siblings.
Yep.
Okay. Luke, so much fun hearing about this. Thank you so much. And we appreciate your contribution to the Bodie Show. We have what we call the Younger Demographic Liason. So when somebody is not old and busted like me and Steph, you are a younger demographic. You are our liaison, but typically we're talking about things that Steph and I don't understand, but you're talking about classic stuff, which we appreciate. Maybe not understand, but appreciate. But so thank you very much. Take it easy.
Yeah.
And we're back. That was Luke. So, really interesting kid, and interested in actually feeding him boats to fix up because I think he's got more time than I do and a lot of energy and intent to do stuff. So we're going to move on and talk boat of the week. Interestingly, we, during our listener comment section, thanks to Brian, talked about Boston Whalers. We have 4 boat of the week candidates. We have 2 whalers, a classy boat. I haven't looked at the listing yet, and then like a special surprise out of left field boat. So the first is the Matt Sullivan submission.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about it.
Briefly want to
just briefly want to say that I'm really enthusiastic about how our listeners are really like showing up for this segment. I feel like we're really getting more content, which is very exciting to see.
Yeah, especially because I forgot to ask for Boat of the Week submissions, and we got a whole bunch of them anyway. So please keep them coming. It's great.
Yeah, showing up for this.
And
It's
if we
good
don't
stuff.
if we don't include your submission, we're not sorry.
As I said earlier, if I may, is it time for me to weigh in on this boat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell us what it is first. Describe it.
I don't know if I can. It's a whaler with a cabin. It's a whaler with a cabin, but the cabin actually looks a little bit like Coast Guard cabin-y.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has like a curtainy thing on the back, like a little, I don't know, I don't have the words.
It's like
It's
a
just
sunshade.
amazing, and I want it. And also I feel like we should just shut down this whole segment after this boat, because
Okay.
boat of the also it's the boat of
year.
forever.
It's
So
also
this,
got all that.
I'll say this is a Boston Whaler Guardian. I think it's about a 24.
It's like-
Somebody has retrofitted a like bomb-proof adventure cabin to it. It's got a roof rack and 2 outboards on the back. Right. This thing is about having a good time all the time, no matter what is going on out there.
100%.
Look at that thing.
Well, and they've got a rack on the cabin for 6 surfboards. or whatever.
Ladies, how do you feel about the man driving this boat?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad
I'd
you
like to
brought
meet
that
him.
up. Yeah,
I'd like to meet him.
I'd say a 10 out of 10.
So, Jen Fitch, if this is Jason's boat, Jason from West Marine, and that boat was like blasting through those waves on Lake Champlain, what would you be doing right now?
Oh, I'd be hanging with this guy in the whaler. Jason, yeah.
No, but if this
If
is
that was
Jason,
him.
what if this is Jason? You're sold, right? I mean, come on.
Actually, no. Hey, it's just like.
So it's not it. The boat
You know
does
what
not make the
fun to-
man.
Out with. like I was even saying like, oh, that we should have him come out to the bar with us or something. That would be fun.
No, but if Jason
But
had
if he
this
had
boat-
this boat, no, I don't really need to spend more time with him other than in the
Oh,
store.
okay,
But
okay.
We do
Okay.
like this.
I like this boat, and the guy driving looks cool.
All right.
The hat, yeah, the little sign.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, hey ladies, yeah, he did that, and
Yeah.
I like these. I mean, I think we would slow down, maybe act like damsels in distress, and that would work.
Little damsel in distress action.
Throw the mermaid bumpers out.
Throw the
No?
mermaid bumpers out. Hold up the boat cushion that says "Need help" on it.
Yeah, no,
Like a-
SOS.
a mating signal.
Exactly.
It's like if
Yeah.
the mermaid
It's like-
bumpers are out. It's like
Oh yeah.
it's almost like
It's a mating call.
Yeah.
showing off your plumage.
That's
in
what
a
I-
way,
that's what I think.
just to make a
Exactly.
Okay, moving on. A submission from Annie Schultz, another whaler from Annie Schultz. It is a Metten Marine restored. Looks like a 17-foot center console Montauk, perhaps.
I think it's an outrage, actually.
It's an outrage. You know your whalers.
Yeah.
She does.
I could definitely take the shine off that boat in like 1.5 summers.
Mm-hmm.
I like the other one better.
I think you could do it in the summer. Why? Now you're underselling yourself, Stephanie. I think you do it in one summer.
Oh, it says right there,
Outrage 18. Sorry, Jen. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, this gorgeous, it's beautiful. It's just so shiny.
So everybody, there's a lot of people of this older demographic who are super nostalgic about whalers, and this company Metten Metan Marine, they've specialized in fixing up old ones, and they're actually building new ones, which is pretty wild. They got the molds, or somehow like are able to reproduce.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
That seat in the way back is interesting.
Yeah, and this is an 18-foot outrage, Jen.
Yeah. The bright work is incredible.
Bright work
I
is like varnished
can't-
wood.
don't understand why that rub rail's all not chawed up and
Yeah.
It's like
falling
a display
off, and
boat.
It's
Listeners, ladies and gentlemen, what you're hearing here are the comments, the puzzled consternation of 3 people who drive their boats really hard and bounce them off of things. And
It's
so
very shiny.
It's so shiny.
Someone just lacquered that.
Like I would just love to make that boat look like it's supposed to look. That's my feeling.
I don't know what kind of ride these are though. I kind of remember that
It's
outrage
uncomfortable.
being actually even worse than the Montauk.
As long as you're alone, it's fine.
only whaler could take a boat and make it bigger and ride
Worse.
worse.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
true.
bigger and worse.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All
All right.
Yeah.
So moving on, Patrick Murphy submitted
How much these boats cost? Do we know?
oh
Are they,
so much.
I'm just asking.
I'm digging that one.
People are spending really, really big money on.
This one's $500,000.
Yeah, this Hackercraft is $500,000.
But, you know, I mean, Patrick, when you're right, you're right.
Wait,
I mean,
tell us what you're seeing on Patrick's boat.
let's talk about it first. You got to describe it.
It's posted it's a 2016.
Describe it. Tell us what it looks like.
Hackercraft 33 custom sport twin engine, 34 feet long, almost 35. Wooden boat with 2 cockpits, right? Two cockpits, and it is $500,000.
Under 100 engine hours.
It's beautiful.
It is available for immediate delivery.
So that's a 2016 wooden boat. So a new build wooden boat. It looks like the classic wooden boats of oldie days. It's got 2 cockpits, which means you can be chilling in one sort of seating area, and then across a stretch of deck there's another seating area. So like on cars in the old cars had the rumble seat. It was like a seat that folded out of the trunk, and you'd like stick your mother-in-law back there. Aha, mother-in-law joke, right? But you would it was just like a separate seating area. It was just like kind of cool. This thing is pretty. It is gorgeous. And
the barrel backs on this era of wooden boats are just fucking incredible and beautiful.
Barrel back is
we didn't see that. See, we're looking at the seating and the cup holder situation right now.
See, this is exactly what I was talking about. Would be amazing seating arrangement for
the Lancer.
A 70s Lancer.
Right, a wraparound couch, which we saw on one of the boats from, I think episode 2 had a wraparound couch. 2 boats.
A good sunbathing area.
I don't know. I mean, it's stunning, right? But like $500,000, where are you going to put that thing? Where are you going to?
I wouldn't take it if it was in my boathouse. I wouldn't take it out.
Well, okay. Well, and that's the assumption is like, oh, I have a boathouse. Right. Like it's true. I'm not going to be.
Yeah, wooden boats. The biggest enemy is the sun, because the sun in UV just beats on the wood.
Or maintenance and property ownership than.
There's no question.
You can imagine.
If you have the money to spend on that freely, I don't think any of those things.
I guess you
a
have.
problem.
Yeah, you have people to take care of it.
Okay, what's next?
I would if I had like somebody else takes care of it money, I would have this boat, because I would have $500,000 worth of fun in it if I didn't have to deal with any of its intricacies.
I like your thinking.
Yeah. And I mean, if we're going on that line of thinking, then this is one of, a dozen boats that you have a boat stable, right?
This person would never consider that first one with that surfer dude.
Well, I would just have them all.
Yeah. All right.
One more.
It's a nice submission.
Thank you, Patrick Murphy.
Get through, Jeff. I just only see 3.
Yeah, I didn't send the other one. So the last one is from Brian Danforth of pre-1995 boats versus modern brands fame. From a minute ago. So Brian Danforth sent us a boat of the week submission, an airboat, which you typically think of as the like firing through the Florida Everglades in a metal boat with a giant airplane propeller on the back, blowing the boat across the marsh and the water and the this and the that. And Brian submitted an airboat not because of Florida Everglades, but because of ice and access to the water, when sometimes the water that you're on is frozen and sometimes the water that you're on is liquid.
I think it sounds super fun.
Yeah.
They're loud for me. And the ice boat situation is really sketchy for me.
But don't you get to wear those like fun outfits that are orange? So if you go overboard or something,
the Mustang Gumby suit. Yes, that's a good idea. But also, so I appreciate the submission though, because I feel like it's timely. Here we are. Sure, we don't have a lot of ice on the river this time of year, but still, it's an important piece of the boating picture, right?
Yeah. The airboat's cool because it gets you out and about under conditions where you're just not going to boat otherwise. Like if you're in the Everglades and it's a mix of marsh, mud, and water, and you can still go boating, and maybe run over an alligator or two, then there you go.
The survival suit aspect of ice boating freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah, I will say that I've been. Have any of you been on an ice boat?
Yeah, of course.
I've been on one. Yep.
Yeah.
I found the fact that the giant airplane engine and propeller behind me sucking ice chips past my face at 70 miles an hour
Yep.
even when we were standing still, because it's just kind of hoovering up ice chips off the ice and sucking them past my face, to be not pleasant.
Yeah.
This is the thing. I mean, it really does perform a function, but you don't really want to be on one if you don't have to.
No. And like I feel like you're skimming along ice for it's fine, but you have less control. But then when you hit open water, that transition is a little sketchy and dangerous. And
We're
I don't know.
watching a little video here.
I don't know.
And
So
I was going to say, it does sort of look like something you can make yourself if you really wanted.
If you wanted to, sure.
Yeah, sure.
But it's a great submission, and I personally, no, thank you.
wait, Stephanie, is this the first boat that you would kick out of your boathouse?
Such a good question. Let me ponder that.
All right.
But I want to go ahead and cast my vote for boat number 1.
Yeah.
Matthew O'Sullivan.
yeah, it's incredible.
Super hot whaler
Let's watch it
with
again.
a super hot guy.
Let's watch it again. Yeah. Nice job, Matt.
Okay, Matt's submission. And is this unanimous from the three of you? Unanimous from the three of you?
Us, yeah.
Okay.
Easily.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go counter to that, and I'm gonna go with Patrick Murphy's classic, Hackercraft.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. I think again,
Really?
because this is boat of the week and we can do what we want. Like, I'm gonna look at that and say, if I have that boat, I have somebody else takes care of it money, and I'm gonna go cruise around and have a great time, and it's gonna sound great, and I like multiple cockpits, but because this is a democracy.
Okay, good. This is
Matt-
where I was going to.
Matt Sullivan, you win. There you go. That was boat of the week. 4 submissions. I think we discussed and described them pretty well. Pictures will be up with the socials, so you can check them out.
Off of this boat, because now all I can do
Yeah.
is think about how much I want it.
Let's
so
just-
could you turn that
Let's
off?
just end the show and just
Yeah.
watch this for the rest
No,
of the
I
day.
need to stop looking at that because it's
Okay.
giving me a lot of boat,
No.
and
Getting
but
too
needing to be
excited.
too excited. Yeah,
I honestly feel like it's a great vote for you.
too excited about it.
There's a lot going on here.
All right, on that, like that cacophony of like cacophony of verklempt from you three on that boat, and the hand waving and the like. Is this menopause again or what? We're gonna wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for listening. We're really grateful for everything that you share with us. Boat of the week submissions, whether they get featured or not. Thank you so much. Matt Sullivan will be sending you a fresh new die cut Bodie Show sticker because you won Boat of the Week, and our previous Boat of the Week winners will get stickers as well. We'll be working on that in the next week or so. And till next time, every Wednesday, Bodie Show. Adios.
Stay floaty.
Yo ho ho, it's time for the Bodie Show. Living on the water is the only life I know. Yo ho 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 ho, it's time for the Bodie Show.